So good morning everyone and welcome to session 6 of the HealthHub Finland webinar series. I'm Salla Hirvonen from Business Oulu and I'm hosting this webinar today. Today's theme is integrating applications into Kanta services. We'll be exploring how health applications can be seamlessly and securely integrated into national Kanta system. With insights into technical execution, compliance, and the commercial impact of integration. We are joined by two experienced speakers, Sampo Ojala from Atostek, who will guide us through the strategic and technical aspects of integration. And then we have Mikael Rinnetmäki from Sensotrend. He will share real-world lessons from implementing the Kanta interface and navigating the certification process. So let's dive into the future of connected health services in Finland and let's welcome Sampo Ojala as a speaker.
Thank you.
Now you can share your slides.
Sure. I hope you can see this, right?
Yes, we can.
Yes, thank you. So, good morning, everyone. Nice to see so many of you woke up to this beautiful morning to talk about the mysteries of Kanta integration. My name is Sampo Ojala. I'm a sales guy with a technical background, and I work at a company called Atostek. Today, I'll give you an overview of the problem we tackle in our daily work. So let's jump right in. The topic is Kanta services, technical integration, compliance, and commercial impact. All very important areas, each full of details and technicalities, and each one could easily deserve their own lecture. But today I'll try to condense the most important parts into a short 15 or 20 minutes or so. And before diving into the details, let's start with governance and the main stakeholders from our government. If anything is regulated in Finland, then it's healthcare and social care. So basically how the ecosystem works is the Ministry of Social Affairs and Health, STM, they define the laws and legislation, for example, the Client Data Act that keeps constantly updated. Then the THL issues orders, määräykset, and handbooks for operational guidelines based on those laws and legislation. And those handbooks, they are directed to both to the health and social care organizations, as well as system developers, application developers integrating with Kanta. Then Kela, they develop and maintain the Kanta services that link and into THL's orders and act out the way to fulfill them. They provide processes, technical documentation, and instructions on how things work. But then there's the Kanta part, and it's an organization in its own inside Kela, and they provide also the technical solution. So also they have their own processes, documentation, and instruction that you need to take into account. Lastly, we have Valvira, and they supervise compliance and certification and make sure everything is up in order. Each party, they have their own responsibilities in the ecosystem, and system developers should have at least a basic understanding of each of their roles and content. But then, if we continue to actually what is Kanta? It's a national health and social care data repository in Finland, centralized service for managing and sharing health and social care information between organizations and the patient themselves. It's a document-based system, continuous development, and been in production for over 13 years. It covers roughly 6.5 million individuals. It includes deceased and foreign residents, and in total it has over 3 billion healthcare documents stored, and that averages out to 461 documents per patient or person. And for some, that's obviously just a few. For newborn babies, none. But for others, very sick individuals who have been long-term sick, it can be more than 10,000 documents. And integrating and using this data correctly, it's critical for professionals, healthcare and social care, everyone. And when you ask a professional what data is necessary, valuable, that they will use in their daily work, do you know what they'll say? They'll say the newest, but sometimes the older data is crucial too. And when you may technically need to go through up to 10,000 documents, the integrating and using that data efficiently in that use case, in that moment, becomes absolutely critical for business as well. Okay, but if we continue diving into the Kanta with a more detailed look at the Kanta architecture, this picture is from Kanta services and it's publicly available. So Kanta itself consists of multiple data repositories and supporting services, from the e-prescription center at the top to broader healthcare and social care data repositories, as well as other national services that support them. And unfortunately, each repository has been developed somewhat independently over the years. It started out with the e-prescription center and then expanded into patient data repository. But this independent development over the years, it makes every and each integration unique and creates variance in the technological standards used when Kanta has been developed. And you can see the main standards used on the left bottom right here. And since you need to often integrate with several data repositories and national services to meet use case compliance, this naturally adds to the technical complexity of Kanta integration. And from our experience, there are also challenges in the specifications, ambiguities for the specifics that sometimes only become apparent in production. So you get quite a far along in the product development before you need to go back and redo something. So it's a quite complex system, but the complexity does not only come from the technical perspective, of course, since Kanta has many stakeholders with constantly evolving needs. Professionals want better data. Client Data Act gets updated. Then DHL needs their HILMO reports, and information security audits bring out new requirements. And any change that's implemented, it creates a ripple effect for system developers and the ecosystem as a whole, affecting data models, document structures, new versions of those documents, user workflows, and what processes need to be in place. So it's constantly bubbling and evolving. And that brings us to a major issue, since the long-term data, legacy data, cannot be ignored, because remember, it's the new data that matters most until you need all of it. Combine that with the current ongoing long-term change in Kanta, where we are changing from HL7 CDAR2 format to the FHIR data model, where both need to be supported for an unspecified time, then you basically have a tech lead's nightmare with even broader technological stack. But all in all, what we have in Finland with Kanta is a highly valuable yet extremely complex technical solution, one that simply cannot be ignored if you plan to operate in the Finnish healthcare space. And we should continue with the overview of the actual process from start to finish, what it looks like to integrate with Kanta. Basically, what you need to do first is develop the software. Make the software capable of handling the task at hand. And the guidelines from Kanta are that before continuing from this step onwards, the system must meet future production use scope and include planned integrations, contain functionalities that comply with the requirements for information systems joining Kanta, and comply with open interfaces and standards in accordance with national requirements. Basically, what Kela is telling us is you need to have your system ready before you can join their test environment. And when you think about everything that involves, you'll understand that by this point you are already so deep and far along the software development process before even considering anything else, and you have no feedback from the users at live production and when you need to actually have the first version of the software ready. Second phase is joint testing. So first you join the Kela's test environment. That's a small step before, but then there are tests in 3 phases. You have preliminary tests which are carried out independently. Then you have Kela's test cases with Kela obviously. And finally, you have cross-testing with another system developer, and you will need to find a partner. It's advisable to reserve time for joint testing process, since for a completely new system, starting joint testing, it can take 6 months, 12 months, even few years in total, or for some parts. And the case in point is Atostek here. It's obviously not full time, it's calendar time. You're not full working on the tests full time on that time, but Atostek has been developing the integrations since 2016, public information, and their first joint test report is dated 16th of 10th of 2018. So that's 2 years or more. And the latest joint test report dates from Atostek dates just over a month old. So they have been continuously, of course, updating, and since there are updates in Kela specifications, you need to joint test again. But yeah, after you have joint test implemented, you will get the test report, and then you can continue with the process. Third step is the information security assessment or audit. With direct Kanta integration from the application to Kanta, the system classification, what you will have, is A2 or A3. And higher the level, the more items must be verified. And of course, the system's risk profile also affects the classification. Then the actual audit, that is based on THL's system form, which has system profiles and requirements for those profiles. And they are also all based on the profile selection. For each requirement, there are basically 4 options. What is the verification method? It's either documentation, you provide that to the auditing partner. You have expert interviews. You demonstrate your own system demo, or then the auditor themselves try to test themselves the system and try to break it and find vulnerabilities. Additionally, they will perform penetration testing to find critical weaknesses there. The outcome is a certificate that's valid for 3 years. After that, you need to re-audit with annual surveillance audits and change audits as needed when new changes come. Fourth step is Valvira registration. And that is a mechanical phase, final step before production use can start. Will only take a week or 2 if everything is in order. You provide the documentation and material, Valvira goes through them and asks if they have any issues or questions. Finally, you will reach production use start. So you can deploy with a healthcare or social care organization. The organization themselves, they must take care of the necessary notifications for authorities through Kanta extranet. and then perform the actual deployment test with the test patient provided by Kela. But that's also a smooth process should be at this point. And then there's profit. So you actually can be in production. But if, as you can imagine, the process it's very top heavy. The workload and therefore the accumulation of costs, they come long before production use can even begin. And since the whole process at the worst case scenario can take up to several years, which makes it a difficult business decision to commit to. And as usual, Kanta integration, it is not a one-off project. It's a continuous process that keeps coming around again and again and again. Each time you want to update or upgrade your software, add new functionality, you need to go through the same hoops. It gets easier over time, and with minor changes, the process is more streamlined. But for every new functionality, this is something you need to be prepared for. And change is something you should be also prepared. As I mentioned, Kanta consists of several independent data repositories, along with additional services and many stakeholders who all want to make health and social care better. And the way to improve the ecosystem, at least in theory, in Finland, is often to regulate the ecosystem more strictly and make the system developers implement those changes, functionalities that the many stakeholders want to use. And here is a picture of the technical integration as expected. That's what expected when someone thinks of Kanta integration. But here it is how it's designed. And lastly, if you remember only one thing from this presentation, let it be this picture. This is what the integration looks like when you are living the constant changes and someone is always trying to cut with scissors the work in integration and making changes to the infrastructure and ecosystem as a whole. These changes would eventually break your integration if you don't react to them, and this is an issue since your customers want new functionalities, new things to do, but then there are changes in the infrastructure that does not show to the user, but you are all hands on deck with those changes, and you cannot fulfill the requirements or the expectations of your customer. That's a really challenging part of this. And that's the core issue, that the very problem that sparked our business. And I promised not to make this a sales pitch, but let me just say this: since we built a platform that enable integration with Kanta in full compliance with regulation, helping agile system developers reach production faster and with fewer surprises than what they would face on their own. And if you would like to have access to the Kanta data and are thinking about implementing the integration, please come talk with us. Let's discuss what the ideal approach could look like. We are more than happy to help. Thank you. That concludes my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Yeah, you are able to leave your questions to the chat box, and at the moment there are no questions, but let's see if you get some later.
Okay.
And our next speaker is Mikael Rinnetmäki from Sensotrend. So the stage is yours, Mikael. You are muted.
Yes. Did this help?
Yes, now we can hear you.
Yes. My PowerPoint is having some issues. Sorry for that. I'm trying to resolve that. Just give me a minute. And if you have any questions to Sampo, I'd suggest taking them now. if there are no questions to Sampo, I think I got my issue resolved. Can you see, my screen?
Please
Yes.
continue.
I will. So I'm Mikael from Sensotrend, and Sensotrend is a health tech startup focused on diabetes, a 12-year-old startup already. And we initially started doing remote monitoring systems and these kind of dashboards that integrate data from medical devices and wellness trackers and then facilitate sharing that information. And a later addition to our services was a diabetes care plan that takes the established best practices and treatment protocols for diabetes and then formalizes those into an app. And the meaning is that you take all this information from the electronic health record systems and see which care has been provided and which not. And then you empower the patient by seeing what they are kind of entitled to. And also give healthcare organizations the possibility to see who's gotten the treatment that they deserve and should get. We have 8 medical devices in total, and we have a quality management system that we also license to fellow startups, so really nimble and agile one. And we are recognized My Data operator, and we have been awarded for our ethical use of data sharing. And I think it's rare for a startup, but we have AAA credit rating. We consider ourselves a pioneer, so we also pioneered the previous big Kanta development, that was the Kanta personal health record system, where Kanta had this addition for data that patients themselves manage and produce. So from all wellness trackers, activity trackers, glucometers, weight, and all of these that you as a patient usually produce. And we started in 2019 with that service, and then we exited from there in 22 when it became clear that there's no business model and there won't be for an immediate future. So in Sampo's presentation, Sampo said that you do all this integration and then there's profit when you go active, but that's not always the case with health technology. Over the times, we've gathered a lot of expertise in HL7 Fire technology, and we've built many integrations and helped others build such integrations. And HL7 Fire is also the key enabler of this Kanta interface. So it's essentially a Fire API, but the data you get is the older generation HL7 CDA data mainly. Fire really excels at this patient access to data. So this is from Apple's site in US, in Canada, in UK. For years already, you've been able to get your health data in structured format to your Apple Health. And Common Health does the same for Android ecosystem. And the way this usually works around the world is that you initiate the connection from your phone. You say, I want to get my data to my phone, and then you get directed to your health provider's patient portal. And there you log in. This is from Epic's development environment that shows the flow. So then you log in and you give the permissions that you want to the app that's asking for it. So in that case, it might be the Apple Health. In this case, it's my test app connecting to Epic. And then Epic's patient portal asks the patient, okay, do you want to share all of this data? And then the patient can select what data they want to share and for how long and so on. So that's the usual model, how this works around the world in the civilized places where it's already up and running. And we are now opening the same kind of possibilities in Finland through this new Kanta API. And once you get your data, you can store them on your phone, and here you can see them. In Android, for instance, in Google Health Connect, you now see this kind of really structured data. You can go even to the JSON level if you wish. And Smart Standard also provides these smart health links and smart health cards that are another tool for you as a patient once you get your data to then further share it with others. So this is what I can go back to this treatment plan, care plan, because that was our main goal to work with Kanta system. Yes, we can get all of the information of the care that has been provided from Kanta, and then we can pre-populate this care plan and check what's been done and what should be done. That was our main goal, but we had some concerns over how different organizations track data. How do they record the data? Do they use the same codings? Do they store the data in same places and so on? We have been informed that that's not necessarily the case. So we decided that, okay, perhaps we'll make first in our quality system anyway, we usually make one alpha version, and that we give out to people that we personally know and trust and ask them to try it out, and we can be pretty sure that they don't harm themselves or anybody else with the application. And once the alpha group tells that it's good enough, then we move to beta group, and that's an extended test group of people, and there we get rid of bugs and all of that, so quality assurance. And once the beta group thinks that the product is good enough for the public, then we make an official release out of that. So that was our thinking with this app as well, that we'll first make an alpha version of the app and ask some of the people we know to get their data from Kanta, and then we get some insights on how that looks. And then we keep thinking that, hey, if we anyway do this, we might want to start really lightweight, and we also might turn this app into something that's more generally useful. So we came up with this kind of app. It's Terveystiedot talteen, so essentially a really simple app that just gives you access to your structured health data in the Kanta services. And you can share those in a file, and that's all this app ever does. So this answers our problem. Through this kind of app, we can ask people that we know, can you please download your data and share that data with us, so we get more insights into how data is recorded. But then anybody else can also use this app and get their own data and use it however they will. So trying to do good here as well. We also had a student project 2 years ago coming up with other ideas on how to utilize your health data. And if you're interested, you can look at this document. I think there are 50 or so application ideas how different apps could utilize the rich structured health data if you have access to that in a patient-facing app. Then do the experiences, how the integration went. Originally, when the Kanta personal health record system was launched, we were really happy with all of the infrastructure that was put in place. There were sandbox environments, all of the documentation was in English and so on. Here, we don't have that yet. We still don't have an official sandbox environment where you would go independently, just register and start developing. Rather, you need to do the testing and certification in the acceptance test environment of Kanta. And also the documentation is all in Finnish. So if you're not a Finnish speaking, if you don't understand Finnish well enough, then you do need a partner to make this integration. Our timeline, the preparations, you need a specific certification from DVV, the government agency. You need to apply for that, and you need to register to Kela's development portal and so on. All of that took around 1 week from us. Then implementing and testing the base logic of the application took around 1 day. of course, we've been doing this a lot. We know what to do, and the application, as mentioned, is really simple. You just log in, ask for all your data, and then bundle that into an app. And then the joint testing with Kela also took around 1 week with all of the documentation. You need to document what kind of what features of the API you use, and then they come up with test plan and you execute the tests, and then you get the result. And then the security audit is a mandatory thing here. So preparing for that took around 1 week from us. So prepare all the documentation. The security auditor gives you a list of questions. You need to be able to answer these kind of questions, and producing that documentation also took around 1 week from us. However, the glitch is that we are still not operational. We have one single point hanging from the security audit, and that's been hanging for 4 months now. And that is, there's one requirement saying that you need to explain how the environment is protected against malware, so viruses and ransomware and so on. And we are using a platform, PaaS, so platform as a service thing, where we can't install our own antivirus software. We are only able to install Node apps there. So that's the basically same model. If you use Azure app servers or whatever, you just install your own app, but you're not able to install any lower level apps there. And then our security auditor thinks that, hey, this needs to be documented somehow. It's not enough for them that we explain that there's no way to install antivirus. So they ask our platform provider, can they please explain how this is done? And they also want to do a more thorough security audit of that platform provider. And then the platform provider is not willing to do that for us, and they consider it a security liability if they would open up their services and explain that to an outsider, because they, of course, they consider this security auditor totally outsider third party, and they are not willing to wish all of their secrets and also the network infrastructure and these kind of things with a third party. So we've been stuck in this limbo for some time. I'm sure we could find some workaround if we'd really push. We have been working on this constantly and even this week, and hope to find ways forward. But we haven't been in a rush, because there's also another thing. We thought that this would be a really good public service that anybody could get their own health information. However, Kela keeps thinking that you need to have 2 different authentications. First, we as an app provider need to securely authenticate the user, hey, you are who you claim you are, and then you go next to the Kanta portal where you need to do that authentication again. And if that's the model, then there would be additional cost for us from that authentication process, because we would need to pay for an authentication provider to do that for us. We initially thought that we would just lean on the Kanta services thing that anyway needs the person to authenticate. And that's another discussion that's going on and doesn't progress that fast. But we hope that one will get resolved as well. And if not, then we'll probably again limit this service to a limited alpha use, so that we can actually estimate and cover the cost from this service if people really need to authenticate through our service. And if not, then we'll be opening this for more public access. I think that's my overall presentation, and I'm happy to take any questions, and if there are any brave questions, I can also share some of our Excel sheets that we needed to fill and all of that, but that's pretty detailed, and if you really want that information, you have access to those Excel files. You can find them in DHL's site, but if there are discussions, happy to have those.
There are no questions in the chat.
Yet.
And yeah, all our participants, they are muted, so only chat is the way to ask questions. It's the only way to ask questions, so seems that there are no. So I think it's time to thank you all joining this webinar, and especially our speakers, Sampo and Mikael, for sharing their expertise and practical lessons. So thank you very much.
Salla,
yeah.
If we have some time, I'd like to ask the audience if there's anybody who's at least remotely interested in implementing this API, developing some services on that.
Yeah,
I'd be interested
maybe
to learn.
Raise thumbs up if they are.
Yeah, if you have that possibility, or then
yeah,
say something in chat, or then reach out to me offline. So Mikael at sensotrend.com. And I also must highlight that both Atostek and Sensotrend have been the pilot companies, so any obstacles we may have faced are not that big for you that come afterwards. So should be much easier for the next parties implementing the API.
Okay. So no reactions and no one now. Could you go to the chat, Mikael? Check it.
Yes, EHDS is bringing downloading data to Kanta. I hear eventually. Yes, that is correct. The European Health Data Space Regulation gives patients the right to download their own data. And yes, this is exactly the same functionality that we are now implementing. And we just think that, yes, we could do it even before it actually becomes mandatory. And when it becomes mandatory for EHRs and these national patient portals, then our service becomes obsolete, and that's totally fine for us. This is not our main service. Our main service will still be the diabetes care plan, but we think that until that feature comes available in EHRs, then this service might be really useful. And yes, I also believe that the EHDS should actually give more power to the patient, not just downloading the data, but these real-time APIs to the possibility to let an app have continuous access to real-time access to your health data. And this is what this API does. I think we are going a bit above and beyond what EHDS actually mandates, but that's a really good thing. And I could also advertise a hackathon. This is preliminary information, but we are organizing a series of health data hackathons in the Nordics. This will probably be published in some other domain once we get a bit further, but the first hackathon is on Norway already Monday next week. And then in Finland in January, we'll have the second session, and one of the key topics of that hackathon is patient access to data. So if you're interested, consider joining that event as well.
There's one more question about the
good.
hackathon.
Yes. Kari has the question, could the app be doing something similar to downloaded data and Gravidate Health's G-Lens stuff or EPI? That is, Gravidate Health is defining electronic patient information for medications. So usually when you get a pill box, some medications, then you get a paper leaflet that explains you the counter effects and how you're supposed to take the medication and so on. And then these G-lenses are smart tools that actually say that, hey, if you do have diabetes, then for instance, in our diabetes care plan, if you get a prescription for medication that has some counter effects with diagnosed diabetes, then we could flag that in our care plan, for instance. That's one example of the G-Lens. So yes, definitely the app could do something like that. But in my view, the app can do dozens of things. And I'm not sure whether that was mentioned in the use cases that we had in that student project, around 50 ones, but that's a good additional use case.
And a question
then
to
there's, yes, do you have any
you.
possibilities for medical engineering and health technology students with a minor of AI to learn and possibly participate in your company in 26? In Sensotrend's case, let's see. We don't have a position right now. We can look again in 26. We are active in health hubs, so to say. So there are these networking events in HealthHub Tampere, for instance. I think there was one yesterday. Yeah, I couldn't make it myself because now with my current assignment, I need to be in Helsinki quite often. But that's a good place to find out about opportunities in health tech. And I think these same kind of health hubs exist in other cities as well. Sampo, do you want to comment on your side?
Well, I'm not really sure of the job openings we have for next year, since I'm not really responsible for that. But I will say that AI is something that we are investing in currently.
And it doesn't need to be a job initially. All companies are interested in having students, smart students, do some kind of coursework or whatever. So that's usually a good way to start.
Yeah, and one way to start is send open applications to companies, your CV, and tell what kind of expertise you have to offer them.
Yeah, and also include what's really your passion, what you want to excel in, what you want to learn, and that gives us companies better things, better points to see. Okay, this student might be really good for tackling this issue that we have.
It's always a good idea, tailor your application to each company. Don't send the same to everyone. You are welcome for the answers. And if there are no any other questions, it's time to end this webinar. Thank you very much.